Hello everyone, so I just got back from an early screening of Evil Dead Rise. This movie is of course rated R. It comes in at about an hour and 37 minutes long, directed by Lee Cronin, stars Mirabai Pace, Richard Kowalski, Anna Marie Thomas. I hope I'm pronouncing those names right, but those are the three highest billed ones that I'm seeing here on IMDb. And it is of course executive produced by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, so the OGs behind the Evil Dead franchise are again too partly behind the wheel in this movie too. So yes, without further ado, let me get into my review for the Evil Dead reboot known as Evil Dead Rise. So the quick description of this movie is that it is a twisted tale of two estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. So yeah, the main story again, you have a little intro sequence that kind of sets you up as to what you're in for and what kind of deadites that we're going to see within this movie. And they never actually make mention or never say by name deadites. They never use again to the name of the book that we've seen within the past Evil Dead movies. But we get a little bit of a sequence, and then we see a little headline that says a day earlier, and that takes place with our family, where there is a family of four, being a mom, two daughters, and a brother. I'm pretty certain that the brother and the sister are maybe just a year apart, and then they have a younger sister, so that the one brother and sister must be like 15, 16 years old ish. I think at least 16 because they were driving at one point in the movie. And then you have their little sister who has to be maybe at least 10, their mom, and then the mom's sister comes into play too. And you can tell they've been separated for quite a few months. She works as basically someone who does a lot of sound technician for a band. So she's constantly on the road, barely gets to see her family, but she comes in for a quick visit, and shit goes sideways very, very quickly. So that is the majority of this movie. I don't want to get into it too much, but of course, they finds the book. They find the crazy demonic chant that possesses people and brings about deadites within this. So again, too, they don't really build upon the lore. They don't go into too much. There is quite a bit of exposition within this movie, but it is very much its own thing. It doesn't really draw any connections to the original movies, nor does it tie into the 2013 Evil Dead remake a lot. So this is truly stands on its own, and I did really like the way that it set up its story. And even though it was very slow to get started, there was moments where again too there's just a lot of exposition. Things were moving very slow. You're just waiting for when it's going to get into it, because this being just about a 90-minute long movie, you're just wondering when it's going to start to pick up its feet a little bit. But when it does, holy moly, it gets pretty crazy, and definitely pedal to the floor for the back like half of this movie. So when things do kind of go south for the situation that they're in, it really gets into it, and it is very bloody, disgusting, gory, and disturbing, as you would expect and want from an Evil Dead movie. Again, so even the opening sequence goes pretty damn hard for the most part into just how gory this movie is going to be. And I do want to say that this one definitely takes a lot more inspiration from the 2013 remake than it does the original Evil Dead series with Bruce Campbell. You do get a little bit of what I want to say, some of the cheesiness and some of the campiness from the original movies, but it does take itself a lot more seriously than those movies did in a lot of ways. There's no crazy Bruce Campbell drug trips or amazing facial expressions, or again to just body humor, in the sense that it's just a lot of physical comedy where Bruce Campbell's just falling around, stuff like that. There isn't really anything like this in this movie. It is again to a more serious tone of horror, but still takes a lot of inspiration from again to the original story, the original lore, and just again to how the events pace itself out. It is done on a bit of a bigger scale because it takes place within an apartment complex, mostly just one floor. So you have your again to original, you have your family that you follow, but there's also other residents on the floor that you follow as well, who again so you don't really get to know much about them for the most part. They're just kind of there to essentially be cannon fodder in ways, but I'm not going to get too much into that. But like I said, the kills in this are absolutely bloody and disgusting, and this is the first movie that ever kicked up a gag reflex within me. Where during the scene that I'm talking about, it's a quick hallway scene, and I just what was going on in my mind was just kind of like, oh, that's gross, but nothing where I was just thinking like, oh, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Nothing like that in my head, but also my stomach just curled and worked its way up into my throat. And for a good second, I did think I was going to huck up within the theater, but thankfully that didn't happen. It was very, very gross, but yeah, the kills are very, very unique and very, very just bloody, disgusting, disturbing. I did find that this movie must have taken a lot of inspiration from Hereditary too, and just the way that it showcased a lot of its horror, especially when it came to the background horror. So just things that you sneakily see in the backgrounds while characters are looking the other way. There's some great just sequences where Deadites are crawling on the ceiling and contorting their body through really tight spaces to creep up on their prey. Really good use of reflections. So there's one where mom comes out and you see hers basically has a shank in her hand, which is piece of a broken mirror, and she's using that to see the family hiding in different corners of the room. So she's looking into the reflection of the mirror. And I thought that was just a really, really cool scene. Great sequences too, where she's trapped on the other side of apartment doors. So you have that little peephole and just the way that they film that. And again, too, just the absolute incredible performance by Elisa Sutherland as the mom within this. She was horrifying and just did an amazing job being super creepy, being just very, very scary. She carried this movie, and I can't wait to see her in more roles because, yeah, she was absolutely terrifying. With all that being said, I did find that there was a lot of times where I felt this movie could have gone more into it, or it kind of needed to really feel like an Evil Dead movie in a lot of ways. Not saying that it doesn't, but a lot of times it just felt like it was really toned down for what we've seen in the past. And even though there's times where that did work in ways, I did find that it made the story and the pacing a little bit predictable, sometimes way too slow, or just the moments didn't really feel like it hit as hard as it needed to. Or again, too, it could have gone way more over the top and just absolutely insane. When it comes to, again, near the end of this movie, there's this one creature design that just didn't really feel like Evil Dead to me in a lot of ways. So again, so this movie does take a lot of the liberties and follows a lot of, again, the pacing of the original Dead movies, which again, too, sometimes makes it a little predictable in ways if you've seen those movies. But again, too, never really fully lived up to the name for me, but it was really, really good in its own right. And I still think this movie was kick-ass and just absolutely awesome in so many ways. It has amazing sound design when it comes to just the shrieks, the screams when they're playing the incantation, just the way that they played with the voice, just it was shaking the seats in my theater a little bit. It was really, really cool, and definitely sucks you into the world that it's within. But I just feel like this movie needed a little bit, maybe more time to breathe, pace itself out, and it could have gone in quicker, and it could have gone in a lot harder in a lot of ways, just to make the horror, the kills, and the brutality of it all hit a lot harder. So with everything taken together, I am still going to have to give Evil Dead Rise a 7.5 out of 10 and highly recommend it, especially if you like the gore fest style horror movies, and if you like the old school the old school Evil Dead movies. I do think this is still going to be up your wheelhouse. If you like the 2013 remake a lot, it's going to be more so up your wheelhouse, just in the way that, again, too, just the tone is a lot more similar to that one than it was the originals. But still very, very good. Still have to give it a highest recommendation, and as of right now, it is my favorite horror movie of the year. So let's see if it can stay at that point. So if you've seen Evil Dead Rise, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. And of course, if you like this review, definitely give it a thumbs up. And you can check out everything I do on this channel through my playlist down below, and I'll link them up top here for convenience sake. Thank you for hitting that subscribe button and turning that little ringer on so you know when I upload new videos. If you want to check out the description of this video on my channel bio, there's a link to the Media Mountain, which is my Discord, where we talk about movies, video games, comic books, TV, pretty much everything that's awesome in this world. So you can definitely join that amazing community, help make it even more amazing than it is already. And yeah, just awesome, guys.